Thanos, great guy, Thanos. Very blue, very big.
Was he a child actor? Who would have assaulted him?
Welcome back to
Buckle up, baby.
episode 61. We are here. Michael is looking cool AF, rocking the shades.
That's right. This is actually episode 60.
Is it?
Well,
Oh,
we're a little out of order this week.
that's right. Why are we out of order? We have an exciting episode 60.
Very exciting, yeah.
Oh, I think I said episode 60 in that one. So
Yeah.
what do we do?
Yo, the episode heads are going to be at us in the comments for this one.
It's okay.
Yeah, we recorded an episode last week that we haven't put out yet, so this will probably come out before, but we spoke to Brian Koppelman, which was actually kind of like a dream of mine for a long time, because I've been a long time fan of his podcast.
Right. The Moment, right?
The Moment with Brian Koppelman. He's the guy who wrote Rounders and like big movie in the late 90s, I think. And he's the guy who co-created Billions.
Billions.
Soon to be Trillions, Millions, and Billions Miami. And he's just extremely well connected. He's like a real voice on the creative process.
Right.
And his podcast was like really influential in me sort of getting myself to a point where I could like try to be creative professionally.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Yeah.
What were the nuggets that like hit for you?
He gave me like a language. It's hard. It's rare to find like a guy's guy who talks about this stuff. You know, it's usually more like flowery, spiritual things. A lot of like feel like there's a lot of like female energy. He kind of brings this like male energy of someone who's like ambitious and like, you know, like comes from that place of like wanting to achieve,
Right.
But in the kind of world of like creativity. So like he gave me like whenever I say things like important, like the work's important, or like you did the thing, like that comes from him. Like I stole that from Brian Koppelman.
Years ago, you said to me once, or maybe an early episode of the podcast, you quoted something about, did you write a little bit today? Did you get a page done today, half a page? Then you've succeeded. Was that him?
That's him also. Yeah. That's a big thing.
I didn't know that at the time because I didn't connect it to. But then when he said it on the podcast, I will say it was a really enjoyable conversation. He was really, super gracious and generous to have us and come in and like really had a nice chat. And it was cool to see how I think he does a good job, like you were saying, of articulating the creative process in a concrete way, so that it's not just this like abstract dream. It's this real life grind and real life work and rigor that you put in to getting stuff done. And I thought that was cool. But you definitely have quoted him at me before, and now I just connected it because he said something during the episode that rang that bell of like, the dream is about getting work done on the pages. Are you moving the stuff along every single day? If you've done that at least in a day, you've succeeded. Yeah,
he said something that I've really tried to take to heart already since then, of like sort of reframing why he does it and what fuels him.
Why.
Yeah, so like we won't spoil it, but it was a really cool conversation, really cool to have met him. I was like a little intimidated. I feel like he was nicer than I wasn't. I wasn't sure how nice he would be.
He was very sweet. He
was really nice, really generous, really cool. My only regret is I think I overthought it a lot. I almost wish.
You mean going into it or during?
Going into it, I almost wish we let it unfold a little bit more.
You think we were over-prepared?
I think so. Like, I think if I hadn't prepared us the way I did, I wonder how it would have gone.
Interesting.
I think it might have been different and possibly more interesting.
Oh, no, I thought,
I don't know.
I thought. I mean, we'll let the peeps decide.
I haven't even listened to it.
It was a lot of fun. I had a good time.
Moment. Yeah.
I had like my first. I wouldn't say my first, but like a private event stand-up gig.
Yeah.
In the Jewish world, which is a world I always kind of was weary and hesitant about diving into. Not for any like cachet, but just because. Remember when Elon said you have to live with your audience? That's the hardest part about doing like Pesach program gigs and Passover gigs and community gigs. It's like performing for your family. So if anything, the judgment, it's like you'll see these people again.
Yeah.
If you don't do well, it's likely you'll cross paths. It's like this word of mouth. So
it's best to go out of state if you're going to do it.
Yeah, but the idea being that when you're performing in a club for strangers, like you walk off, if the set doesn't go well, you get them again the next night. It's a whole different batch. This is not a whole different batch.
Right.
Like, oh, you do one bad set, there's this idea of hanging over your head of, is that the guy who did the joke at that time at the thing where, oh, we heard about that. So there's all that stuff that goes through your head for like doing stuff that goes deeper into the Jewish world. Having said that, I'm probably one of the few voices in comedy. I don't want to toot my own horn in any way at all. I just mean like there's not that many in the modern Orthodox Jewish comedic world. We've spoken to Ellie, we've spoken to Elon, there's Modi, there's people, but there's a lot of comedians out there. How many can joke about certain things? Not many, and can do it effectively. So there's a part of me that's excited by it to like be able to write a song about, you know, the mikveh and find the funny in it, because Jim Gaffigan's not going to do that.
Right.
And I'm not like comparing myself to him, but I am. You know, I really like the mikveh. It's just so gross. Why don't we want to dip? That's a funny bit. But anyway, I'm excited. At the end of the day, I got over that insecurity. Plus, like, they hire you, and it's like a real gig, you know, and that's nice too. So people find me on They found me on Instagram and reached out for a gig to do like a gala in Arizona, in the community in Arizona, and it went over well.
Can you tell the story of what happened?
Well, I don't want to get too into the details of like what went down to respect the privacy of the community a little bit, but there was a horrible tragedy in the community. I guess I'll say that much, like a really devastating loss in the community. And so, like, when you do the world of Jewish events and community events...
But tell the story. You laughed.
Yeah. I will tell you. When you do this world, you come across this, and I've discovered it in real time. So I got reached out to for this gig on Instagram, people who are, like, following some of maybe the Prince Harry stuff or whatever, but would love to bring you out for this banquet, this gala we're doing for this preschool, and we're having a gala for our parents and community members. And it was all, you know, everything was moving along fine, and... I was at the airport 30 minutes before my flight, and I get a call, and I had a feeling like something was up just based on the text. Hey, can we talk about tonight's event? And I'm preparing bits and preparing things, and I have stuff in my head of like trying out new jokes and stuff that might work on a crowd like this, because when you're doing a affiliated sort of Orthodox crowd, like there's certain material you can only do there, like that won't work anywhere else. So it's your opportunity to try stuff. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I'm to the challenge, to all of it. But I get a call that there was a horrible tragedy in the community. It's a small community, and everybody's just devastated. And I'm walking into that. So maybe, you know, with your jokes, maybe do a song instead. I don't know. It was sort of like, we don't know what to do. We're still moving ahead with it, but just know that. And I'm like, man. And especially with comedy, like music isn't subject to the mood of the crowd as much. Like you can go and do your stuff. But if you do comedy in the wrong setting, it can come across as tasteless or offensive, or I don't know. At the end of the day, actually, I reached out to Elon, and he gave me some good words of strength about, like, look, at the end of the day, like, rely on the material. You must do your act, and it's your job to help lift the spirits and, like, take on that role. And thank God I went into it, and, like, everybody was in decent enough spirits to be able to handle being entertained. And I also, like, addressed the tragedy a little bit about what it took place, and it you know, with empathy, and giving the audience permission to enjoy themselves as a way to comfort themselves. And that was, I think, the right approach. And you rose to the occasion, and it was certainly a challenge for different reasons. In a way, it takes the edge off. It's like, well, now it's almost like when something goes when something like that is such a curveball and it's so difficult to deal with, it's almost like, well, the least things you have to worry about is if your jokes are going to work. You're trying to worry about something else now. But it's a different challenge. And I was happy that I was able to kind of be a professional and get through it. And people laughed and had a good time, and I got good feedback. So there you go.
Did people know you? Were they like, oh yeah, we were the ones who wanted you to come?
I think the organizers and a few of the people who brought me in, but I was still fairly unknown to, like, especially like the older people in the crowd, you know. They were not hesitant to give me feedback like, so when you did this thing, that was better. When you were riffing with the rabbi, that was the best part. That's when it really opened up for me.
I wonder if that's typical. I'd like to ask Ellie about that.
I'm sure. Everyone's got their feedback.
Yeah.
Then there was somebody in the front row who the entire set was just like, every joke, try to land.
An older woman?
A little bit, and like, you know, like maybe in her 60s or something, but like just like. And after the set, she goes, "That was wonderful." She's like, "That was great."
She lied. She lied.
I've been to things with my mom, and when she watches like music country, she's like this.
Well, your mom's terrifying.
And then afterwards, I'll turn to her and be like, "That was great." Like, maybe it puts boomers in a trance.
Yeah, well, they're not used to watching live entertainment.
I guess, but she's just like, it was pretty hilarious. I'm like, okay, This one's not digging it, but she was.
She's like,
so it's
when
just
do the commercials come on? I'm confused. I don't understand.
the thing is with impressions too. Sometimes if the impression is so good, if it's so good, Michael, people go like the reaction isn't laughing. It's more like,
right.
and like
like
that's
that.
a weird. You don't know if it's working or not until you kind of reach a threshold, and then people kind of let go and start laughing. So that's always challenging when you're doing impression type of humor. People are like, yo, you hear like a ruffling in the crowd when you like start doing Trump and it's so good, and I, the thing is, whatever the impression might be. So that's one thing, but it also turned a mirror to me and like working on the material and stuff of like where can it be stronger, like how to have better endings for bits, transitions, all the stuff that comes with doing the reps of stand up. But part of me is just putting myself in these very uncomfortable, challenging scenarios and seeing how I do.
You seem tired.
Oh man,
You're exhausted.
Because after the gig in Arizona, I flew back and I had a gig at Newark Airport Hotel at the Marriott there with Distant Cousins.
The Newark Airport Hotel?
It's not like it's at Newark Airport. Yeah. It's a Marriott of Newark Airport.
Like a gala?
It was a conference.
Cool.
And we did a concert and songwriting workshop with a group. Like it was an educators conference.
Yeah.
So So when I flew in, I went right to that, and then a few hours later did that gig. So I'm still on like reserves.
And then when you asked if I wanted to record today, you were hoping I'd say no.
No, actually, I'm not like you. I was
the one who said yes.
Yeah, no, I was like, I want to jump back in it, and I want to get an episode out this week because I got backlogged for other reasons.
Well, this autopod thing makes it really reasonable to do it. I did have a question for you. Oh, I had an idea for you.
Yeah,
because you sent me a TikTok that said, the people who make money off social media are not making money off their follower count or brand deals. They're making money because they use their accounts to sell a business.
A funnel.
Yeah. A funnel. I was thinking for you, maybe your business is, start thinking about it like my business is my stand-up show. Mm-hmm. And so, which like you already know.
Yeah, that is the case.
Yeah, you already know that. But thinking about it more in that framework of like where you're putting links, what you're promoting at the end of the videos, and also like thinking about like oh, I need to be working on my business once or twice a week, like at the clubs in the city. Like I need to be building that because I keep pushing people towards it, and so like also thinking about it as like Distant Cousins / your stand-up. So like you're sort of like promoting your music and your stand-up together. Maybe that might help you also like think about a show more of like more integrative almost of everything you're doing on social media, just sort of in real life. It's just a different way to speak about it, not different than what you're already doing.
Basically what you just said, I thought I was going to just say, yeah, of course, obviously, but you framed it in such a way, in the slightest change of thinking about it more like, the content is to funnel people to my stand-up show, which is what I plan to do at some point. But if I look at the stand-up not as just this like bonus thing I can try also as a passion or as a thing, but as a way to fill seats and make money.
Well, you don't,
because that is the product.
Right, you think of it more as like an endeavor of like I'm going to improve at stand-up, but thinking about it as I have a show, and people are going to come see me, and I better like get off my ass and work on it.
But
it's already there.
Clarify, I don't think of it as an endeavor independent of what you're saying.
No, I know.
It is an endeavor because it is, and in order to get people to come to something that I think is worth seeing, I have to grind my teeth on it. Right. But my goal macro is like this audience, and then where the audience can go to support me, and that's a show. And then maybe it's merchandise and all these other things and brand deals, but it's like the show is something I know it's part of the creative package.
It's your small business.
Yeah.
Your show is your small business.
Right.
And you got, yeah.
So I'm just been grinding my teeth on stand-up, and then eventually like live looping comes in after I've been able to be like comfortably working out bits independently and then adding songs and music to it in a sort of a variety type of show. I watched Burnham special on the plane. I was like, I gotta like...
Finally.
Yeah, I watched one of them.
Yeah.
It's an older one. I went on purpose to start from the beginning and just see the evolution of it.
Yeah.
I think it was called What? Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I think I saw all of them.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. It's just like, what I liked about it right off the bat was he's not even trying to do like what you're supposed to do with stand-up. It's a one-man show, multimedia kind of thing. And he's just And I think he had a lot of internet notoriety. He had a lot of videos and people who knew who he was, so he could fill up rooms. And he said, like, early on, like, he didn't have the stand-up street cred and respect of comedians because he didn't grind his teeth in the clubs. But what he put into it was very cool and, like, quite a spectacle of, like, songs mixed with pre-recorded things that he messes with. So, like, as far as stand-up goes, like, some of it's a little too meta. Like, every single joke is a joke upon a joke. And that's, like, his style, at least at the time. But it was just inspiring and cool to see somebody just say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do my show and my act this way.
What was it like to watch something that was longer than 7 minutes?
Very hard.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Because he did a good job.
Yeah.
The show is effective at
It's a
maintaining
full
my attention. It's an hour.
Yeah.
But I watched it 7 minutes at a time and took a 5-minute break. No, it was just cool to see. And like, I appreciate his musicality and the multimedia of the show, the pre-recorded tracks that play, like, you've seen the bits, I'm sure.
Yeah, was that the one that opens up with a huge number and then
Yes.
he's standing in front of a brick wall and goes, sorry, was that the dentist the other day?
I think it could be that. He might have done that multiple times.
Yeah.
He goes, long, awkward pauses, long, awkward stares, and he spotlights a girl in the audience, and he's just like, for a while, like, I think it was like that. Staring awkwardly, like, there's all this stuff. He tells, like, these stories, but he sits down at the piano. He goes, like, this is a song about a world on fire. Oh my God! Anyway, this next song, he does a lot of that deceptive kind of stuff, or tells a story about a about a frog who comes out of the lake and out of the swamp to find his true love, and he wanders and he sees another frog, a girl frog across the pond, and he wanders about trying to skip from lily pad to lily pad. I'm botching the story. Skipping to lily pad, and then all of a sudden, an alligator pops up and sees the frog and says, I'm hungry. I think I'll have frog for lunch. Oh, frog! And he, like, ends the story. The frog just dies and gets eaten by the alligator.
Yeah, it's dark stuff.
There's a lot of darkness.
Have you seen the clip of him? I don't know where this is from, but him talking to, like, Gary Shandling and Judd Apatow and, like, that
it's from
circle?
Green Room. It's from a show called The Green Room on Showtime.
Right.
Which I thought was a really good show. They were
You remember when it was on?
I never watched those things. I found clips of it, but I think it was on Showtime for a while, and it was basically, the idea was trying to emulate what a green room comedian.
Right, it was like a tough crowd a little. They used to have these shows.
Colin Quinn, Bill Burr.
Right. Yeah, so it was one of those, and they.
I know the clip you're talking
when
about.
he's talking, first of all, he's way younger than all the other comics, and like they're all sort of trying to like feel him out a little bit, and then like you realize at some point, they're like, oh, this kid's like a genius.
I don't know if they realized it then. I think they all were like, interesting that you're here. Mm-hmm. A lot of them were like, he made a joke. He goes, on the Green Room episode, he goes, I just have a question for everyone here. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Because they're all old. And Gary Shandling goes, it's so good because it's so mutual. And throws it back and everybody loses. Because it's so mutual, you know? But then he said, and then he was interviewed about that. He was like, See, the thing about Burnham, I kind of take issue with.
You're on like second order clip on TikTok. They know the clip you've watched, and now they're showing you interviews on the clip.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they know. So that there was that scene. Then he plays his song. His like, art is dead.
Wait, but what did he say on the?
Mark Maron was like, I didn't like it. Like, you know, they were giving him a hard time. They were kind of like, I think they were just impressed he was there. So there must be a reason. Mm-hmm. His genius wasn't revealed yet. Like, he didn't make Inside and the stuff that was to come.
He hadn't.
No, this is before that.
Oh.
That Green Room show is old. He's a very young, he's like a 21-year-old Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
Like, Inside to me is where you're like,
maybe genius is the wrong word, but I think they looked at him like, you're different than we are. You're different.
Yeah. But what's interesting is he did that show, and like he was interviewed about it recently, maybe about like Gary Shandling and that moment. Mm. But before he says anything, Bo Burnham goes, oh yeah, that's the Green. He kind of like rolls his eyes. He's like, there's nothing more nauseating to me than comedians performing a conversation. and I'm like, you're not wrong, Bo, but you take it too seriously. Everyone's trying to just like help each other live through this life with a little bit of laughter, and he takes such issue with like the exteriors that we all need to build for ourselves. Like, he takes it all.
Well, that's his whole thing, performance. Yeah. It's a thought experiment on performance. Yeah,
I know. And like, he makes fun of he's like, transitions are weird. He like makes fun of stand-up in his show, and that's cool. But the fact that it seems like to really bother him.
Well, he's also weird because he's been doing it since he's like 16. Mm-hmm. Like, most people haven't been performing publicly in that way. Like, that's kind of his brain developed while performing. So like, obviously that's what he thinks about all day.
Yeah, and he took like 5 years off because of panic attacks. Did you know that? He was having panic attacks before his shows. He took 5 years off.
He would, He would perform while undergoing a panic attack. I can't imagine.
I can't imagine either. And then he was ready to go back out in 2020. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
And he talks about it. But then something fucking crazy happened. He was just like, and he made Inside, which is, to me, I have to watch all of it. But from when I watch it, I'm like, cinematic, in every way, an artistic kind of masterpiece.
Yeah, it's like definitely like a voice masterpiece. Like it only he could have done it. Also, just the craft of it. Yeah. Like you could tell he's not just a comedian. He's like a filmmaker.
Right.
He's part of this really interesting filmmaking crew with Gerard Carmichael and the guy who made The Bear. His name's escaped me right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but they have this little crew in LA that works really hard and is super successful and like pushes each other and like kind of shits on the industry, but also like is obsessed with being part of it.
Right. Interesting.
Like they want to be kind of old Hollywood, like Rat Packy.
He was also a Vine kid. He was in Vines with people. Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
So he goes way back to that world too, and that was a whole creative scene of people making Vines. King Batch and him and stuff. But it felt like that was a time when he took things a little lighter. And now he's going off on like the social media, the thing that blew him up. It's like he's also like how dangerous it is and all of these things. He dwells a lot on, maybe because he's the only voice doing it, on how destructive and terrible it is.
Yeah. We know people like that kind of talk in essays and that like you just like sit back and listen when they start speaking.
Right.
They're a lot. They're overwhelming in real life.
Yeah. In real life, they're a lot. And you're just like, I don't disagree with you, but like he seems to just really struggle with it while we all kind of are a little more accepting of like everything it has to offer, and also just being like not taking it too seriously or being too worked up about it. But he really struggles with it. His points are valid though, worth listening to. But as far as comedy goes, like somebody making a joke and making people laugh, sometimes it's just okay.
Yeah,
it's fine. There's nothing more to say about it. Yeah, transitions are weird, but like when people watch a stand-up show or any kind of entertainment, you're buying into something. For the time being, you're allowing yourself to buy in to the illusion that's in front of you. And that's the relationship from the performer to the audience. Yeah. And he's like, I object to this. Yeah. Like, I really take issue with this. And his song that he made about it, that one, put your fucking hands up, come on out of your seat, all eyes on me, all eyes on me. I mean, it's such a powerful song. And he does it with his anxieties about it in real life. He does this incredible job at like highlighting the issue and the struggles of the performer and the audience. I hate you. I love you. I need you. I want you. He's like, really, the problem is you. The problem is you because I need you and I hate you, but I love you and I want you and I hate you. Yeah. And it's like, this is deep. Yeah. All eyes on me. All eyes on me. You know, party's over. It's just begun. That song is incredible.
You think he's got a long time left on this world?
I mean, that's when you watch him talk, it's very dark.
Yeah.
It's somebody, he struggles a lot with very dark thoughts. So
I can't imagine him in his like 70s.
Right. I mean, it's it's just like
flame. Yeah.
If he's strong enough, like I wish him the best because he's a genius. But when you see somebody talk about the darkness about a lot, it seems to really consume him.
Yeah.
But maybe his outlet is making that stuff, and that will be his way because parts of Inside, like there's a shot of Inside when on that song when he's looking out and it's like blue lit, but then he turns his eyes to the camera. It's shot like in such a way where he breaks the fourth wall with just his eyes. And you're like, oh my God. He's like, are you feeling nervous? It's like, I knew you were there. There's something about it that would hit me. His stuff is,
What would you have to do to get to that place to start writing like something that profound? Do you want to do that? Yeah.
I think I could see a time. It's not there. It's not in the near future.
Yeah.
I could see a time where I can combine sort of like things I think about in all sorts of holistic ways. You know, what Bo Burnham I think has done. We're still on Bo, but what some of the time, like, and I've seen it too with like more stand-up special. Mark Maron has a special out now. It's called like Dark and Troubling or something like that. Dark, something about that. But the way to like not be afraid of the silence and shifting from a comedic tone to a dark, serious tone, back to comedy. People are kind of bending the format and playing with the rules a little bit. Like it doesn't all have to be smiles the whole time. Like you can get to places that are real very quickly from comedy and then shift back to comedy. Right. In his special, Mark Maron, I think I saw a clip of it, and he tells a very sad story of how he lost his girlfriend of many, many years. And then his challenge was, how do I make this? Could I do a joke about this? Could I? But a lot of it is first just very, very sad to listen to. And you're like, man. But then he pays it off a little bit.
Was it good? His special?
I didn't watch the whole thing. I saw this clip of the special, and it was like on my flight was one of the things you could have watched.
Yeah.
The punchline of the joke is at the end he like is seeing her on her deathbed, and it's horrible because he was encouraged to go for closure, and then I'm walking out and I'm like, selfie. So and everybody laughs at the end, but like the comedy goes from very funny to serious quick, and Bo Burnham does the same thing. He's like talking about a goofy Pringles can. Why do they still make Pringle cans the same way? You can't get to the bottom of a Pringles can. That's a huge problem. I'm still on this. The Pringles can can't get bottom of a Pringles can. Why haven't they changed the design? And then he's just no. You know what the real problem is? You. And he turns to the audience, and then it gets like serious. So could I see myself developing something like that? Sure, because I think about things and whatever, and I've made serious TikToks sometimes that kind of hit in different ways. So.
Judd Apatow gave Jason Segel good advice when he was writing Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where he was like, yeah, you know, I want to write a comedy. He said this to Judd Apatow, I want to write a comedy, but you know, I think this is like a really serious story. And Judd Apatow's advice was write a drama, and if you write a drama, it'll be hilarious because you're funny. So just write a drama.
This was for Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Yeah, this before he wrote Sarah Marshall. Yeah, so I also feel like if you just tell your stories, they'll be funny.
Yeah.
And also they could be as dark as you want to get, but no matter what, they'll be funny because you are funny.
Right. Yeah. Key and Peele, Jordan Peele was like, the only difference between horror and comedy is the music. And I'm like, I don't know if that's fully true, but it's just interesting that because he came from the comedic world and is making these incredible horror films, like thrillers. So is there another angle to it? Yeah, but to me, that's the act that you develop after you've exhausted the funny bone a little bit. For me,
yeah,
I still have to put in I'm still just trying to do the baseline, basics, and then you know what I mean.
It's a business.
It's a business. You sound like a dad. Listen, it's a business. Wow, great advice, Dad. It's a business. My dad would be like, got to keep your eye on the ball. Just keep your eye on the ball. What is that? A big ball of, it's a business. It's a business. My dad, every time I talk to him about like entertainment, listen, it's a cliff business. It's a cliff business. You have, sometimes you like this, sometimes you like this. And I'm like, I know.
Buy high, sell cheap. That's what comedy's about.
It's because of the shades, Michael. It's turning
buy cheap, sell high.
Buy cheap, sell, buy low, sell high.
Buy low, sell high.
Not buy cheap, sell high.
Yeah. I want to ask you about Ozempic.
Why?
Because I saw Adela Kochab post on TikTok
about it.
That she has. It was kind of like we love Odella here.
Yeah.
We love Odella. We love Odella.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like this is trending, and she did a very thoughtful way to do a TikTok about.
What was it about?
Here's how Ozempic works, and she kind of gave her experience. And I was like,
but why would she use it? Isn't it a pre-diabetic?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, maybe there's another reason besides weight loss.
It's a pre-diabetic
like
thing
this,
too.
like miracle weight loss drug. Maybe she feels like she needs to lose weight. I that's probably what else would it be?
I have no idea. Sponsored video to help promote the product.
I don't think Ozempic pharmaceutical companies paying Adela to.
It's probably not wise to talk about female guests and weight loss, but
she put out a TikTok about, and I had the same thought. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, if she's using Ozempic, maybe Ami and I should be using it. Have you thought about it?
Ozempic?
Yeah.
I hear it's killing people too.
I haven't heard that.
It also sounds like a Yiddish word. Ozempic. I use a vessel Ozempic. Listen, you look a vessel Ozempic. You should lay down. Doesn't it?
That's good.
Ozempic.
Ozempic.
Yeah. Have I thought about using it? Not really.
It seems like it might be a
miracle thing for me. For get rid of the dad bod.
A reasonable. Well, because you. I mean, you have your. It's a challenge.
Wait.
You don't like dieting or exercising,
right? Anything that's too good to be true is.
I think the thing is,
I did Octavia. Ruined me. Remember? Do you know what Octavia is?
No.
It was all the rage in the exact same way Ozempic is, this miracle weight loss thing. And Xander's all screaming out, but I wasn't like obese, okay? It's not like I'm like now like whatever.
This is his biggest by far.
Yeah.
Is this what was your?
Yeah, I'm at my biggest weight.
No, you're not your biggest.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. It's just you've been here all along, so you don't notice. But catch a picture. The problem is in the mirror, I look like this, like it's fine. Then I catch a picture of myself on a Sunday with the kids, and it's like.
Yeah, I catch myself in a FaceTime sometimes when I'm holding a baby and my stomach is just like.
You know when you take a picture and you expect it to look a certain way, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
That's how it came out to me, looking good. Then I'm like, okay, let's see. Ah! And you're like,
I saw a guy today walking out of the post office with like a wife beater.
Yes.
And he's like probably a guy in his like 50s, and it's like a tight wife beater, and he's not a thin man. Like you see every roll and every curl. And I'm thinking like he probably has been wearing that since he was 20.
Thinking it's still working.
And just never noticed like this doesn't work for me anymore. Because he just puts it on day after day.
The same pants too that grow with you.
Yeah.
But like when you have to get the
pair of jeans.
and you're like you don't accept to go up, because to go up in waist size, that hurts.
There's also there's a one day you have to decide, does the belly go over the pants or under the pants?
Oh my God.
What am I gonna do?
I'm also like scared if there's a next affair that requires a suit or a wedding and I haven't put it on in that long. I'm like, you're looking at it, you're like, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, that was big time COVID, because I was like, I haven't put this on in 2 years. What's it gonna be like?
I had sweatpants that got tight on me during COVID. Sweatpants.
Good. That might have been a laundry mishap.
I'm hoping, but I'm like, no, this cannot be. This is not supposed to be this way. But like, I squatted in them, and like, too much of the ass came out on the back. You know, I'm like, this is a problem. But on Ozempic, so there was a diet that was going around. It's still maybe going. It's called Optavia, especially for a lot of the Jews. And what it is it's like it's a pyramid scheme, because people would go on this diet and then they post on social media. Holding the amount of weight they lost in sugar in like a big bag.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And they look so thin, and they're like, DM me. If you want to find out how I did it,
that's not good.
DM me. And they allow people to become coaches and refer people and make money the more people like get on board.
Yeah.
But these people were melting. Like literally in 3 months, I was seeing people like go from like drop like 50 to 70 pounds. I was like, so many people. I'm like, I got a question, man. What are you doing? What did you do? They're like, oh, DM me. No, so they finally told me. One guy got me on board, and you basically eat like these. They send you this food, okay, and you eat fuelings, not food. They call it fuelings, like a candy. Each thing is 100 calories. You eat every 2 hours, and you drink a ton of water, and then you have one lean, clean meal at the end of the day. That's like small. And like chicken with like veggies, spinach. That's the end. But that's it. The rest of the day, you're constantly eating, but a tiny amount. And it's like 5 fuelings a day and 1 meal. But each fueling is 100 calories. So you're eating like 500 calories spread out in 2-hour increments. And they're filled with like protein and other things. One thing that was good about it was it had me drinking a lot. And I still am better about drinking water because of this. But in like 2 weeks, I looked different. Like I was like, I looked different. And like I dropped, I don't know, 15, 20 pounds in a few weeks. And it was like, whoa, okay now. Here's the problem. What happens when you stop eating the food?
Right.
I like all of a sudden just like
ballooned.
No, and everyone's like, oh no, so once you get off of it, there's this way you get off of it. Like you gradually decrease the feelings and increase regular healthy food to live a healthy lifestyle. And everybody that inspired me to get on gained like 80 pounds.
Of course.
Everyone exploded afterwards. My own coach like put on weight. I'm like, this is, and like women stayed on it too long that I knew and started losing, and like it was like damaging, and it was a disaster. And I gained like 10 pounds heavier than when I started.
The thing with Ozempic, I think you have to take it the rest of your life. I think once you start, you have to take it the rest of your life.
It cannot be. The only way to do this is to do it the hard way.
There's also the way
it's like content, bro.
There are people on TikTok who talk about sort of like not fat positive, but like, listen, you can spend the rest of your life.
Want to sit on the darbuka, by the way?
Like, you can spend the rest of your life going up and down 20 pounds. And like being happy when you lose the 20 pounds and being sad when you're back up to 20 pounds, or just kind of accept this is my weight.
Yeah.
And like, I shouldn't be like necessarily more than this, but like, I'm not going to be like, I'm just comfortable, and that's what it is.
100%. There's validity to that. But actually, for me, the scale of vanity to utility has been over the years shifting. So like in my teens and 20s, it's pure vanity. You just want to look good. I heard a great joke from a guy, Dickerson, I think his last name is. I want to get the comedian's name right, but he's hilarious. I see him on TikTok and stuff. He goes, in my 20s, I wanted to look good naked. In my 30s, I want to look good dressed. Something like that. It's a better joke than that. Yeah. Like, I just want to look decent. I want to look great naked. In my 30s, I want to look decent dressed.
That's funny.
You know, like I work out a lot to just try to get to this, and this isn't anything. I asked my wife, do I look like I work out? He's like, you look like you work out, but you also look like you never miss a cheat day. So the idea is like your standard's just lower, and now it's more like utility. Like I just want to be able to function and feel good and functional with like lifting heavy things, making sure I can still like maintain healthy, optimal life of like being able to like have, you know, not like lose muscle mass and like whatever over the years. Like you get conscious of that in your 30s where you start to see like, you can't take it for granted.
Yeah.
So forget like how your body looks or feeling good about yourself in terms of like vanity. Like for me, it's more like fitness, health. That's becoming more and more along the lines of I can accept if I look a certain way, but I certainly also that's accompanied by not feeling great. I feel
think
like
you're
total
hot.
crap.
I'm not trying to say anything
Thank
otherwise. Yeah. I think you're sexy.
Yeah. Let's stay on that for a minute. But anyway, it's also like just like back, like pain, body pain and stuff like that. And like just wanting to maintain good habits. Yeah. And getting into that is important. And Ozempic doesn't sound like a habit. It sounds like a hack.
True.
And it's also, I think it's people are dropping dead from it.
Is that right?
When they drop dead, you know what happens? They're about to die and they go, Ozempic! Ozempic!
And the moment they hit the floor, just 50 pounds fills their body. Immediately.
They just, like in X-Men?
Yeah.
And that guy's like, help me. They turn into the whale, Brendan Fraser.
Yes. That's what happens. That's what happens.
I need to know that I did something right! Ozempic!
Did you see the whale?
Ozempic. I didn't see the whale. Did you see the whale?
I saw the first scene. Someone bought it on my Amazon account. So it's there, but I haven't watched it yet.
Is it good?
Well, he won an Oscar for it.
I feel good for him.
Yeah.
You know, what a comeback. That guy was like banned from Hollywood forever.
Yeah, why? What happened?
It's a whole story. I don't really know the backstory of it. You know the backstory of why Brendan Fraser? But how cool we have voices off the podcast responding to things. That feels legit.
Can you get up Brendan Fraser for us?
Yeah. Jamie, Xander, bring up Brendan Fraser. No, like he was a leading man. The Mummy. Oh yeah, George of the Jungle.
Yeah. But something
Bedazzled.
happened.
Something happened with. They thought that I don't know the details of this, but like there's stories about people get blacklisted in Hollywood because some agent or some industry or a big executive said you'll never. So I think there's some horror stories with him, and he couldn't get work after a certain like
something
success
specific with the Oscars, because I think it was like people weren't sure if he was allowed to show up at the Oscars to accept the award. Adam Sandler said something where he was in Airhead. You remember that?
Yeah,
they were awesome. Yeah. He's like we were just having fun, but you were like doing acting. Like I was like, yeah, man, you're a little different than we were.
Right. No, but something happened after his like heyday in the late 90s. Yeah. And he could not get work or some. I don't know the details. Where are we on that? Any details on Brendan Fraser?
So he said there was a couple things. He said he suffered backstage injuries, stood up against alleged sexual assault, and went through a messy divorce. But now he'll star in Killers of the Flower Moon with Robert De Niro.
But did they say specifically why he was like had trouble with Hollywood besides like personal
so
was?
They later on the article it says he believes that he was probably blacklisted by Hollywood for one specific because of an alleged sexual assault. Standard.
AKA the Jews.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Anyway, there's been stories of that recently in Hollywood of the kid from Young Indiana Jones guy who finally, I never ever gave up on my dream. Thank you, Steven. Thank you, Harrison. I never gave up on my dream, and you must never give up on your dream. He was in Indiana Jones as a kid and then won the Oscar for that other movie.
Everything
but nobody's seen it because no one cares about the Oscars movies anymore.
I met these. I did a showing last night for this apartment, and this. I don't know if they were living together and starting a company together.
Who was this?
These two people came to the showing. They didn't say what the relationship was, but
you were doing an apartment.
Yeah, he was a little older than she was, and they said they're starting a company together, startup, and they're also apparently living together. But they're doing an astrology startup, and they were talking about how we're in a certain alignment of whatever Saturn and Jupiter or something. And the last time this happened was the 2008 financial crisis. Like the time before that was the Depression. But they said the good news is it's almost over. But they said they do this thing where they track the like astrological happenings with the movies that win Best Oscar. And they said like what's going on now is big like like father, son, mother, daughter energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie that Everything Everywhere All at Once is about a mother and daughter. So they're like that. It captures the zeitgeist in a way because that's what the astrological energy is.
You know that I'm a big snag, and it's like you can find patterns everywhere.
I like it. I don't know anything about it, but I like it.
It's satisfying, but
well, there's a tradition of it. I mean, like when you look in the Bible and they talk about like the sorcerers that Pharaoh was using,
yes.
like that's what people use to understand.
But we have more refined ways of understanding. Yeah, I'm not saying there couldn't be something related to that. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I'm actually less dismissive of it than I used to be. But in general, like astrology is kind of silly to me. When people say, that is me. Oh my God, I'm such a Pisces. Yeah. It's like you're dismissing all the things that you aren't, and you're only looking for the things that it's saying you are.
Yeah.
Like you like commitment, but you also struggle with serious relationships. Yes, both are true. Just say a bunch of big things.
They seem pretty serious about it.
I know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Xander, quick, what'd you have?
Sorry, I messed up. Brendan Fraser, he got sexually assaulted and talked about it, and they got blacklisted by this Hollywood.
That's what I figured you said.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. For clarify for the folks, Brendan Fraser alleges he was sexually assaulted, went public with it, and this executive or whoever he was going after blacklisted him. And as we've seen, he was probably right.
Yeah.
Justice for Brendan.
Was he a child actor? Who would have assaulted him? Was it like a?
It could have been an adult. It could have been an adult.
So.
But I think he was sexually assaulted by the Mummy. I think it was the right.
The Mummy.
The Mummy. Anyway,
the Mummy for it.
Yeah. So Hollywood redemption stories can be satisfying, but it's also I find completely irrelevant. Nobody watches this stuff anymore.
Well, so that was my next thing. Like, there hasn't been a movie. Sure, Everything Everywhere All at Once won. Mm-hmm. The only reason people talk about it is because it's being talked about. There hasn't been a movie that's captured that people walk around going like a line from, like the way like Old School was, or like movies throughout high school and
that are
college.
Culturally dominant.
Yeah, like whatever it was, like comedies would do it, dramas would do it.
That sweep the nation.
Like remember Titanic came out, like Batman Begins came out. It was like the thing.
Mm-hmm.
There hasn't been a movie like that in so long, and so I postured maybe it's because there's not something that's truly capturing what's going on astrologically.
I think just the attention is so scattered and dissipated now. Avatar 2, people talked about for a second. You got to see it, but it disappeared.
Yeah, even the Tom Cruise movie, it was the highest grossing movie in like several years, but like no one talks about the story or the story of Top Gun 2. Like, I don't know what happened. Like,
in it.
It's not like, you can't go 5 minutes without hearing about that scene, or there's that SNL sketch about that scene in Top Gun.
I just think it's that the everything has become so fragmented that like if you talk to people who saw the movie, they'll talk about that scene, but there's no in culture in general, there are very few singular things anymore. But there are like corners.
A good movie should break through that.
But it's impossible now because media is consumed so differently now.
It's not impossible.
I don't know how many people are galvanizing around one movie to go see and talk about.
It's harder, but it's not impossible.
Maybe the Avengers. Maybe like the Marvel.
That might have been the last one.
Like that was huge when it happened.
Yeah. And it would be again if there was a really good Avengers.
I think pre-COVID was sort of the last, and I remember Infinity War and the Avengers like wrap up.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones. Like that whole time,
Game of Thrones was broke through for sure.
Yeah, but it was at a time where there was still social media. But then in COVID, when every like social element of social media every social element of life shut down, and you saw the rise of people who gained audiences on social media platforms, there was such a proliferation of that stuff, streamers and creators and the creator economy that was born out of a post-COVID world that it's harder now to recapture the attention in sort of central ways.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but I wish someone would make something that was able to break through it.
A movie that's so good.
Regardless of it.
So good, you can't deny it.
Trump made a movie, it would do it.
If Trump starred in it or somebody played him?
Trump starred in a movie. An action movie.
What if he became an Avenger?
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be good.
The last gasp of Marvel.
They're doing fine.
Marvel, last gasp. That'd be a good name for a superhero.
Thanos, great guy, Thanos. Very blue, very big. Very big. A lot of power. Beautiful. He made half the country disappear. So did I, for different reasons. So good. That's a new Trump. They took the tweet down. I think it was, did you see the Trump CNN town hall?
No. Wait, before you go into it, Zach,
Yeah.
can I do a time check? What time is it? Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Shifting topics on Trump. Remember we spoke about a while ago, do we think Trump was going to run again? Do you think he still has it? Do you think he can still do it? And we were like, sort of like, I feel like he's, like when he came out with the Trump NFT, Trump cards, we were like, I think he's like grasping at straws here to try to stay relevant. Trump cards, get your Trump NFT, big announcement. He's just trying to hold on to the attention. And we were like, I wouldn't put it past his ability to still like center himself into the culture again.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this debate.
He did it.
I'm just like, it's like watching boxing. And CNN is trying to land punches, and they can't do it. It's just like boom, boom. They're like, now, why did it take you so long to condemn the rioters on January 6th? Why did you not tweet till 3 hours later? I don't want to bring it. I didn't want to bring it out, but I have a list here of my tweets. Should I bring it out? Should I read it? And everyone's it's like, so actually, January 5th, please remain peaceful tomorrow. Peaceful, I said, peaceful. It's going to be a great day. We're going to show up for our country, but you must respect the Capitol Police. So I tweeted this, and you know what, Twitter? They took it down. I don't know why I think they took it down because it was so good. It was so good. They took it down. They couldn't handle how good it was. And everyone's just laughing and charmed by it. I'm just like, man, like you're still playing into the same tricks that he's laying out for you. And it was like a boxing match, and he was just destroying this the moderator here trying to interview him and get him on these gotcha things. They're playing the same game that they lost in multiple times over. It's like they never learn the tricks that Trump is kind of able to maneuver the conversation in a way that politicians would otherwise have groveled at that question. Like they would have crumbled. Like we issued statements. We do because why didn't you call in the National Guard? Why didn't you like help on January? Like thinking they could get him on January 6th, and he was like, did I just flag our episode by saying January 6th? But no, he said King, and he was like, I told Nancy Pelosi that was her job. She had a job to do. Nancy Pelosi's in charge of the Capitol Police. She couldn't do her job. I'm so sorry she couldn't do it. And you know what? She's wrecking our country. They all if you watch the move, never takes the bait. And I'm like, you could call him a clown at your own peril. You know what I'm saying? Because still able to do it in that way, like in the way that traditional politicians cannot.
So this is the last thing I wanted to bring up. On that note of politicians that might actually be able to do something. Have you been following RFK Jr. at all?
Yes.
So
I have been following it a little bit, Michael. Is that mean? Because I know he has the tremor. It's a condition.
A little bit. What is the condition?
It's a thing that some people get where they have a tremor in their throat. I mean, it's
a little raspier.
I have to listen again, but what we're trying to. I feel a little bad because it's a real medical thing. But
well, he
should have. He didn't get it from a vaccine, but
it's hard to listen to him talk. Actually,
yes.
I wish he had like a nice, smooth, booming voice. But I watched this really long interview with him, and he's sort of if you just casually browse through the news, he's dismissed as like a kook, conspiracy theory kook, who's throwing away, I suppose, Kennedy money, running for no reason.
Is he running?
He's running for president. Yeah, he announced he's running as a Democratic.
Did you watch the interview with Dave Smith? Who did you watch it with?
So then I watched on the All In podcast, which is this this kind of cringy podcast with these big VCs and tech people. With Chamath.
Yes.
Chamath and all these other guys. But they have a huge audience. Right. So he's going around to all these podcasts with huge audiences. He's reaching people like me. And so when he has a chance to speak for like 2.5 hours and like really get into it, for whatever, he's anti-vax.
Yes,
straight up
all
anti-vax.
of them, not just COVID.
But he's really smart. He's really well educated. He's an insider of an insider. He's the person Trump's pretending to be. Like he's a freaking Kennedy. He was like, they're like, do you think the CIA was involved in your uncle's assassination? He was like, listen, the first person my father called the day my uncle was shot was our neighbor across the street who ran the CIA. And he said, are your people behind this? Like when you hear a story like that, you're like, this guy's not like pretending anything. He's like, he's been in it. And so hearing him speak, someone who's smart and inside and very skeptical of our institutions.
Yes.
Like he's saying things that many reasonable people think that like CIA killed JFK. Maybe vaccines aren't so great. The COVID response is bad. Like, just like we need clean energy. Like, we should get out of Ukraine. Most things most people think.
Most people don't think vaccines in general. That's a kooky one.
Right,
that's what makes him feel kooky.
But like 5 years ago, he would like.
The only reason
5 years ago he would have been a nut.
But the only reason that's more palatable now is because of the distrust and the erosion in institutions since COVID.
So that's the headline.
So that means like you could say vaccines and be skeptical in general because the COVID one was sold such a bill of goods as like was it safe, and you found out later after the fact about data and suppression of things. I don't think that applies. People didn't think about other vaccines that have been around for 30 years, but he has.
And he speaks, and he's really well researched. He's written books. He's anyway, like I was pretty blown away by how appealing he was. Way more appealing than Biden. Way more appealing than Trump. And like I wouldn't quite count him out yet on someone that might do like an Andrew Yang type of thing. That's like might actually make a dent and might be someone we're talking about for a little while.
Running as a Democrat?
He's running against Biden. I don't know. I wonder why he didn't want to run as a Republican.
Well, he's not. He's certainly not.
Neither was Trump. I don't know.
Nah, but Trump governed pretty conservatively in the end, and he ran in the party. I don't think that. I think Trump had more aligned with Republican platform
Social
policy
values,
stuff.
Yeah.
He was faking probably being a evangelical, like virtuous person.
For sure.
But taxes, regulation, a lot of things that Republicans would be down with. I'd say Trump says.
Maybe he's just like not aligned with them. Well, anyway, I would, I'm excited to follow him and see what happens with that.
Yeah. I mean, the speaking is tricky.
It's hard.
I mean, it's hard because he has
He doesn't
this condition.
sound, I mean, like when you hear him speak, you're like, is he going to live for that much longer? That's like,
No, it's a condition. He's fully, it's there, but I forgot who else had it, but, I've met people with it where it causes us. I mean, it's an injury or some kind of condition or something that causes it. But I don't know. Mixing it up is interesting. I like that someone's running against Biden. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I like this guy Vivek that Nachman talked about.
Yeah, right. So you hear Vivek,
who are like ideas guys.
They're ideas guys, but there's your bullshit light goes on when you hear him talk. No?
Why? Vivek?
Yeah.
No, because I actually think he's well equipped to answer these questions, and he's not that afraid. He's got a lot of money.
No.
I think he's a successful guy. So when he gets on like a panel, he's like, he's not afraid to say like, I want to end affirmative action. And then he goes against Don Lemon, like got fired for his interaction with him. You saw that?
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, so he's not calculated. He's not giving canned responses that were prepped to him. Whether you agree with him or not, I actually think he knows what he's talking about.
Well, part of it is seeing someone who's a little older and wiser is also nice.
What, Vivek is older?
No, RFK Jr. is like, he's not in his 80s, but he's not in his 40s.
Right,
He knows what's up.
I think Vivek has thought a lot of his positions through.
I'm sure.
As opposed to like, here's what you should say if they say this. He's like, no, I know what to say. This is what I believe and I stand by it.
Yeah.
And I like seeing that in politicians.
He's a little combative.
Yeah.
He's a little like us versus them type of guy.
Yes.
Which is less appealing to me.
Right. But what is refreshing is when he gets up there, like he can defend his positions from like a philosophical, political position where he has worked, he has clearly thought these through and not like, what will the base like? What polls well? Here's what you should say if they say this. I don't get that vibe from him. I don't know how far he'll get, but I think people like that help make this a little more interesting. Yeah. Because what if it's Trump Biden again? Like,
that's probably what it's going to be.
It's crazy.
And most people don't want that.
For the social fabric of the society, it's not a good thing. It's just like an exhausting place to exist in. Yeah. Can't wait.
All right.
On that note,
episode 60 to 61.
We're in between here. It doesn't really matter. The number doesn't matter. Age is just a number, Michael.
Yeah. Did we get Brian to do the pinky, the finger?
Yes, we did.
My God. Do we even care about that anymore?
Yeah, I think we do. Every episode. Buckle up, baby. There we go. Thanks, guys, for watching. That is Buckle Up 60 or 61, depending on how you're counting. We'll see you next time.
Buckle up, baby.